Buying and selling businesses is also business. Part 4. Trusted relationships matter. From the post of Dr. Strive Masiwa. The lions are always out there. You have to respect that they are there, also hunting. It is part of business. Our research told us that Liquid Telecom would have possible competitors who also wanted to acquire the asset. The sellers were likely to follow a tender process. Our intelligence seemed to suggest that some very aggressive competitors could emerge with very deep pockets. We developed our business plan carefully and discussed how we would make the business work within the rest of our operations. This would be a large acquisition at $450 million, but it would be manageable for Liquid and its management team. We brought in external advisors to help us evaluate and test each stage of our proposed strategy. You must always seek expert advice when it comes to buying a business. It doesn't matter your own business skills or how well you know the business. Seek advice and develop a culture of taking advice from trusted and credible professionals. Include experts who are prepared to give you hard, cold facts and analysis that they know may not make you smile. Many of you have asked, what about raising the money? Let's start at the beginning. For an entrepreneur, relationships matter. They are the most important part of business. I have told you before, you must build trusted relationships. 20 years ago, I went to a bank branch in Harare, Zimbabwe, and asked them for a loan. It was the local branch of an international bank. A bank is a business, and never ever forget that. They want clients who will grow with them and continue to make them money. If you run from bank to bank, you may never get an opportunity to build a real relationship with them. Even as we have grown and built a relationship with the new banks and financiers around the world, I still hold onto my oldest relationships, just adding new ones as I go. Respect the so-called small guys who meet today because they are headed to be tomorrow's big guys. And by this, of course, I am referring to women too. Some branch managers at the banks I dealt with 20 years ago are now very senior executives in the banking world. The serious entrepreneur treats the bank as a partner. They don't just pitch up when a deal emerges. They are constantly talking and comparing notes with the banks. Some of my best deals are brought to me by the banks. It's their job to bring me good deals. This is not rocket science. Build relationships based on trust and start today. Some of the other key relationships I rely on even today were also made over 20 years ago. By the time we learned of the Novatel opportunity, we and our lady bankers were really old partners. We had gone on many buffalo hunts together over the years, and we knew the rules of the hunt. They were not hearing it for the first time from me. We had known that we were looking for an opportunity to make a big acquisition. Once our teams had completed their presentations and our advisors had given their support, it was time to make the approach. We need money to buy the business and also to develop it going forward. you have a solid business plan for it. For that kind of money, you all had to syndicate with others. You know you will need to come up with considerable equity. How far are you on equity? We will share with you our plans on the equity piece. We have everything in hand. We know what you need, and we need your help to make it all happen. Banks like to share risk with other banks. This is called syndication. Sometimes you can have as many as 20 banks working on a deal. Again, a good entrepreneur makes it their business to know how it works. This is how large amounts of money can be put together very quickly to support mega deals. By now, you are familiar with the difference between debt and equity in financing a deal. From the business modeling used for our business plan, we are expected by the banks to know how much debt and how much equity we need to make a business deal work. At this level, it is almost a science, and there is very little debate amongst the experts. Let's meet. Our team is ready. The rest is history. A few months later, the deal was done, fully funded, and ready to go. I hear you asking, and what happened to the lions? The tall tale of the buffalo hunter says the lions were very, very big. We managed to shoot the buffalo and to get it out of the bush just in time. Our children are now fed well, and we will be planning a new hunt soon. Afterthought. Some of you have asked guidance how to write a business plan. You can find many different resources online to get you started. You must read up on the various aspects of banking. Banks are not simply about borrowing money and making deposits. That's a small part of banking. You will not join the big leagues if that's all you understand. When your business is still small, your relationship with the bank is usually the commercial banker. For something like buying or selling a business, you need to become familiar with the investment bankers. These days, I have very little interaction with commercial banks. I deal mostly with the investment bankers. I speak with investment bankers almost on a daily basis. This is where the big stuff happens. Do you remember the posts I wrote in which I said every game has its language? There are the things you can say that will expose whether you are a player or just a casual observer of a game. You cannot speak about soccer using the language of tennis. People will laugh at you just by listening to someone for 5 minutes. I can tell you if investors and financiers will take them seriously, even if they themselves think they are very serious. A friend of mine who is a very famous international musician wanted to start a business venture which needed a lot of money. He went to New York, most important place for big money deals. Whenever he asked for meetings, everyone agreed to see him, including the chairman. But the moment he asked for money, they politely declined. Then he changed strategy and sent an experienced entrepreneur who was not even well known. He didn't get to see the chairman of the bank, but he got the money after just one meeting with some really junior guys. What's the moral of this story? Ali writes, "Thank you, sir. The only way we can go far in life is by seeking advice from those who know more than we do. My reply: there are many reasons we should develop a culture of seeking professional advice, and it is not necessarily because we believe the one giving advice knows more than we do. Unfortunately, there are people who are literally afraid to ask for advice simply because they think it is acceptance of ignorance. We cannot all be experts of everything. I am not a motor mechanic or an electrician. If I call either of them to fix something, it does not mean they know more than me. It just means I recognize their expertise in their field. If you want to raise money, for instance, remember there are people who spend their every day raising money. If you have never raised money, talk to someone who if you have never raised money, talk to someone who has raised money. Don't go around in circles pretending you know what you are doing. When I first started out in business, I opened a bank account at the branch of a local bank. I used to go and deposit money and withdraw whenever I need it. At the time, I thought the most important thing was being able to borrow money from the bank. One day I realized something that totally changed my life, and it was this: I could ask the bank for advice. When I inquired further, I found out that the best banks even had people whose jobs it was to give advice. Giving advice is a very big part of the business of banks. Even if your business is still small, try and find out more about the advisory services available at your bank. If they don't have such services, find a bank that does. Mufondo writes, nobody ever told me that. Thanks, sir. My reply: you know the verse that says, my people perish for lack of knowledge? When I was a young entrepreneur some 25 years ago, I took a loan using my house as a collateral. I built a business and created many jobs for my fellow citizens. But due to circumstances beyond my control at the time, I found myself unable to service that loan, and I lost my home. Even today, I can still see the bewilderment and fear of my younger children as our home was possessed and sold. By the grace of God, I picked myself up and rebuilt. I learned much later that with the right knowledge, I could easily have avoided borrowing against my family home. I am determined that I should do everything in my power to ensure that younger entrepreneurs never fall into that kind of situation. It is not going to be easy. This I know, but let's keep trying. It is not going to be easy because you are all in different countries with different problems and a different system. So I focus on teaching principles that, if applied, will help you everywhere you are.